This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
So now we're holding in the Aseret Simei Teshuva. We mentioned that Rabbi Yonasan Eibeshitz says that one could be Masakein during the 7 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippurim, the corresponding days of the entire year. So now today's Thursday, you can be Masakein all the past Thursdays. Tomorrow you can be Masakein all the Erev Shabbosim. So in case a couple times you're running into Shabbos late, last second, it happens sometimes, and we didn't properly greet the Shabbos, worry not, tomorrow's a big day. Tomorrow you can be Masakein all the Erev Shabbosim of the whole year. Shabbos Shuvah, you can be Masakein all the Shabbosim of the year. The Arizal adds further, you can be Masakein all the Shabbosim of one's entire life. So these are really the most important days of a person's life. But on the other hand, the process of Teshuva is very daunting, because for the most part, all the good things that we've tried to do, we do already. And all the good things that we don't do, it's because we have a hard time doing them. I mean, there are things that that challenge us, and very often we weren't successful at them 3 years ago, and we weren't successful at them 2 years ago, and we're not successful at them now. So how much can we really accomplish on an annual basis? So one very inspiring thought is the idea that the Yemei Teshuva are like a mikvah. Now a mikvah, whether you're prepared or not, whether you're ready or not, if you get thrown into the mikvah, you're tahar. So too, if you pass through the days of Elul and Aseret Simei Teshuva, ready or not, you're doing anything or not, something good's going to happen. Just merely traversing these days will change the person. We will not leave these days, even if, as much as we tried to resist it, we're going to be different people by the time it's over, even if we don't really do that much. And there's an amazing gematria that's offered by the Bnei Yisachar. He says that we know a mikvah has how many lug? A mikvah has 960 lug. How's that? It has 40 sa. And the cheshbon is like this. There's 6 eggs in a lug. There are 4 lug in a kav. There's 6 kav in a sa. There are 3 sa in an ephah. Say, that's what I want to hear about now at the end of the tainus? Yeah, you're going to remember this the rest of your life. Block sa 6463. My 7th grade Rabbi Milstein, he taught us Blaksa 6463. Blaksa is a mnemonic. The mnemonic is Blaksa, Beya, Lug, Kav, Sa, Efa. Blaksa, Beis Lamed Kuf Samach Aleph, 6463. 6 Beya in a Lug, 4 Lug in a Kav, 6 Kav in a Sa, 3 Sa in an Efa. Blaksa 6463, never forget it. Or you want to remember the black saw 6463. Now, if a mikvah has 40 sa, that means there are 6 sa in other words, let's do it out. Black sa, Beis Lamed Kuf Samach Aleph. So you have 6463. You have 24 lug in a sa. 24 lug in a sa. So 40 lug will be 40 times 24. That's 960 lug. There are 960 lug in a mikvah. 24 lug in a sa. So there are 960 lug in a mikvah. So what's that going to do for us? What that will do is something very interesting. What's the halacha if, let's say, you make a cholent? This Shabbos is a cholent. I know you missed cholent. You had Rosh Hashanah and you had good food, but you didn't have cholent. And in the cholent, there's a cat who's in Israel. They have the story goes that sometimes the cholent tastes really good in Eretz Yisrael, and they discovered it's because there's a hairy creature that has fallen into the cholent. Happens all the time. If a mouse, doesn't sound too good, huh? If a mouse falls into a cholent, could you eat the cholent? So we know that a davar asar is batal b'shishim, but a beria, the Bavli says, is not even batal be'elef. An entire entity is not batal be'elef. However, the Yushalmi says that a beria is batal in 960. So if you have these big cholents in Eretz Yisrael, you ever see these big, like the mirror? Yeah? If a cat falls in the mirror cholent, you could eat it. You could eat according to the Yushalmi. A beria is batal in 960. So we're a beria, yeah? They're 960 hours from Rosh Chodesh Elul until after Yom Kippur. So we're going through the mikvah of Elul and Aseret Teshuva, and whether you're ready or not, prepared or not, you're going to be a different person by the time it's over. It's like a cat that falls in the cholent of the Mir Brachfeld Yeshiva. You could eat it. You could eat it. That's what happens to us. In fact, the gematria of Tishrei is 960. How's that? Tuf is what? 400. Shin is 300. We're up to 700. Reish is 200. And Yud, 10. So that's 960, right? Tuf, Shin, Reish, Yud. That's 960, right? No, how much is it, Yehuda? 910. So we're off by 50. So here's the deal. The Bnei Yissaschar says there's a concept of nukudos have gematria. Okay, here's how it goes. Every dot is a yud, is 10. Okay? A patach is a line, is a vav, is 6. A kamatz, in the old Sidurim, you remember the old Aleph Beis books? A kamatz is a patach with a dot. Remember those? So it's 16. So you ready for this? So a chirik is 1 dot is 10. A tsere is 2 dots is 20. A shva is 2 dots is 10. A shuruk is 3 dots is 30. A patach is a vav is 6. A kamatz is a vav and a dot is 16. So now let's take the dots in Tishrei. Under the tuf is a chirik is 10. Under the shin is a shva is 2. It's 20. Under the reish is a tsere is another 2. 50. Tishrei is gematria 960. The number of why? Because that's the number of hours in the Yemei Harachamim v'Haratzim. Okay, so here's the big yesod. If you want to change in Tishrei, then we have to have the following thing in mind. Even though we have big plans on Rosh Hashanah, every Rosh Hashanah we're going to be perfect this year. We're going to be a tzaddik, gomor. We're going to be like the Malachi Asharis, but it's not really realistic. So Rav Pam would enjoy saying over the following idea from the son of Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan Spector, the Kavna Rav. He would say as follows. We know the Mishnah at the end of Masechta Yuma says, Amar Rabbi Akiva, Ashreichem Yisrael, Lefnei mi atem mitaharim, o mi mitahar eschem, Avichem sheba shemayim. And Rabbi Akiva cites 2 psukim. Shenemar, V'yoimer, right? Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. Right? V'oimer, Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. Ma mikveh metaheres hatmeim, ma v'kadosh baruch hu metaheres Yisrael. That's the first pasuk. The first pasuk is Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. V'oimer, and another pasuk is V'zarakti aleichem mayim tahirim tahartem. I will sprinkle on you the purifying waters. So Rabbi Kiva cites 2 psukim. Pasuk number 1 is Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. Pasuk number 2 is V'zarakti aleichem mayim tahirim. The question is, why do we need 2 psukim? Why is Rabbi Kiva citing 2 psukim? 1 pasuk about a mikveh, 1 pasuk about the purifying waters. And Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan's son explained as follows. There are 2 kinds of purification corresponding to 2 kinds of tshuva. 1 kind of purification is as follows. You go in a mikveh. So you go in a mikveh, you dunk in the mikveh. The problem is the guy has a little band-aid around his pinky. What % of his body is pure? 0. No purification at all. He doesn't get 99% pure. He's not tahar at all. As if there's any chatzitza at all, he's not tahar. Or, let's say, The guy went to the mikvah, and he has a really long payas, and the tip of one of his payas, just a little tiny tip of the payah, is out of the mikvah. What percent of him is tahar? 0, nothing. Or the guy has, he's under the mikvah, and his little pinky is nothing. It's all or nothing. That's a certain kind of tshuva. That is the tshuva of complete tshuva, tshuva shalema. Tshuva shalema is not so easy. But there's another kind of purification. That is a purification of the purifying waters of the paraduma. Now those waters, if that water hits the edge of your earlobe, if 0.00001 ounce hits the edge of your earlobe, you are tahar. You're pure. Here, barely anything touched you, but if it merely comes in contact with you, it's also a purification. So the son of Rabbi Yitzchak Elchanan would point out that there are two kinds of tshuvas. One kind of tshuva is, we come to Shul, Rosh Hashanah, we say this year, every single word I say from the Siddur is going to be with complete kavanah. This year, every time someone in my house annoys me, I'm going to stay calm. This year, I'm going to learn in every split second that I have. That's tshuva shalema. But how realistic is that? It's not really that likely. But don't worry, because there's another kind of tshuva. Now this kind of tshuva is not a complete tshuva, but it is a recognized form of tshuva. And that is, a person takes one area in life and they say, this year I'm going to have kavanah in one bracha of Shemona Esrei on the first Tuesday of every month. So what did the guy do already? The first Tuesday of every month he has kavanah on the 7th bracha of Shemona Esrei. So is he a different person? Not really. But he already touched the purifying waters of tshuva, and he will gain a certain level of purity. As long as you do one small step, as long as you take one small measure. They once asked Rav Shach, what's a good idea? What's a good example of a Kabbalah to take upon oneself? So they said, Rav Shach said, they asked Rav Shach, so should we be makabel to say Berachas Hamazon with kavanah this year? He said, no, it's too much. Should we have kavanah to say the whole Berachas Hamazon from a siddur? No, it's too much. This year you should be makabel to accept upon yourself to say the first bracha of Berachas Hamazon from a siddur. That's a good Kabbalah. You know why that's a good Kabbalah? Because it's realistic. It's something you could do. But the Yetzer Hara says, this year you're going to learn all of Shas Yushalmi with the Pnei Moshe and the Karban Eda and know it backward. Okay, yeah, so you start on Rosh Hashanah and then you end the second day. Already by the time Gedaliah was assassinated, the Kabbalah is over. So you have to take something realistic, something small, and if you even take one small measure, that already is considered a very significant form of tshuva. So I like to say there's another kind of gematria. The pasuk says in Parshas Kisavai that Moshe Rabbeinu was supposed to write on the stones the whole Torah, Ba'er Hetev. Ba'er Hetev. Very well. Rashi says, what does Ba'er Hetev mean? Shivim Lashon, all 70 languages. So Moshe translated the Torah into all 70 languages. So the question is, how does Rashi know that Ba'er Hetev means all 70 language? It says in the Chumash, all 70. Where do you see in the word Hetev, all 70 languages? So the Mizrahi says on Rashi that Rashi uncovered the meaning through an interesting system of gematria. I call it this is Rosh Hashanah season. And where do good Jews go on Rosh Hashanah? Uman, of course. So I call this the Nachman system of gematria. You ready? You take the first word. You take the first letter of the word, and then you take the first 2 letters of the word, and then you take the first 3 letters of the word, and then you take the 4. That's a system. It's a real system of gematria. So if you take the word Heitev, you ready? Take the Hey. What's Hey? 5. Okay. What's a Yud? 10. What's a Tes? What? 9. And what's a beis? 2. Okay. Good job. Okay? Hey is 5. Hey and Yud is 15. Yeah? So now we're up to 20. Hey Yud Tes is 24. So now we're up to 44. Hey Yud Tes Vez is 26. 44 and 26 is 70. That's how Rashi knew, Pshat in the Pasuk. It says Hey Tev, through the system of Gematria is 70. Hey plus Hey Yud plus Hey Yud Tes plus Hey Yud Tes Vez is 70. So we see from Rashi it's a real system of Gematria. So it comes of Shamshin Me'ashtapoli, one of the great all-time Mekubalim, and he says the following Chidush was revealed to him in Hashemayim. If you take, we know the Gemara says in Yuma, Gedoyla Tshuva Shemagas Ad, where does Tshuva reach? Kisei HaKavod, the throne of glory. You ready? Says Rav Shamshin as well, you take the word Kisei HaKavod, Kaf Samach, Kaf Samach Aleph, Kaf Samach Aleph Hey, Kaf Samach Aleph Hey Chaf, Chaf Samach Hey Chaf Vez, Kaf Samach Aleph Hey Chaf Vez Vav, Kaf Samach Aleph Hey Chaf Vez Vav Dalet. You add it all together, 713 Tshuva. Gedoyla Tshuva Shemagas Ad Kisei HaKavod. That's how Chazal know Tshuva reaches the Kisei HaKavod. Because if you break down Kisei HaKavod and you nachman it, you get Tshuva. It's a real gematria. It's a real system. It's part of the Torah Shabbat Peh. No matis in your sefer. They deal with that. Stama, right? Yeah. The gematria book. I don't know. One of them.
They do. The answer is yes,
they do. So those are a few good examples. Kisei HaKavod. Kisei HaKavod equals to Tshuva. So in the Sefer Mishnas Yosef, he says, why does Kisei HaKavod only add up to Tshuva through this system? Chaf Samach Aleph, Chaf Samach Aleph Hey. Why? Because it's to teach. You don't get to the Kisei HaKavod overnight. It's very small steps. Imagine a person said, okay, this year, I'm going to be mechavein for the first bracha of Shemona Esrei. And then next year, you say, I'm going to have kavanah, I'm going to add the second bracha. So you know what the Yetzer Hara says? Don't do that. You'll never get there. It's not worth it. This year, you're going to have kavanah for the whole Shemona Esrei. And every year, he tells you to do that. And by the time 50 years are over, we still don't have kavanah for one word of Shemona Esrei. But the Yetzer Tov says, you know what? Maybe try 10 words at a time. 10 words at a time. In 40 years, you'll end up having kavanah for the whole Shemona Esrei. So, the first thing we have to identify who's talking. We think it's the Yetzer Hara who says, not that, the Yetzer Hara is the one who's saying, just have kavanah for 10 words. And the Yetzer Tov is saying, have kavanah for the whole Shemona Esrei. It's just the opposite. The Yetzer Hara is telling you to take it slow, do a little bit, small steps, small measures. The Yetzer Hara wants you to tafasta meruba, loy tafasta. The Yetzer Hara says, do it all in 1 year. So the story goes that when they told the Chafetz Chaim about the concept of an elevator, he was very excited. Chafetz Chaim was very moved when he heard about an elevator. So what's the Chafetz Chaim going to do with an elevator? His house was 1 floor. What does he need an elevator for? So the Chafetz Chaim said that an elevator is the perfect analogy to Ruchnias. Why? Because in Ruchnias, you don't have to do so much. You just have to take one step. Press the button, and you get in. Once you take one step, the Lord carries you the rest of the way up. The Rebbe Shalom takes you the rest of the way up. But, you look at the shaf, I'm never going to know. I'm never going to know the whole shas. So the Yetzer Hara says, don't bother. The Yetzer Hara says, okay, so just learn 3 lines of Gemara a night. Learn 1 line of Gemara a night. Once you get in, you press the button and you get in, the Rebbe Shalom carries you the rest of the way there. I once heard from Rav Shlomo Halevi Warman. He heard from the Satmar Rebbe. Very interesting remez. We say in the davening, Tashev Enosh Ad Daka. He causes a person, he positions a person Ad Daka. So the Satmar Rebbe said like this. What's the gematria of Yud Kei Vav Kei? 26. So he said, 26? I'm nothing. Looking up at 26, it's too far up. Hashem doesn't do that. He says, Tashev Enosh Ad Daka. Daka is Dalet Chaf Aleph, 25. Hashem puts you already on the 25th level. He just says, take one step to me to level 26. Tashev Enosh Ad Daka. The Hashem positions us very close to Him. We just have to reach out a little bit. Rav Meir Shapiro was once invited to give a drasha in a Beis HaKnesses. So he said, what do you want me to speak about? They said, it's Parshas Balak. Speak about Ma Toivu Oyalecha Yaakov. What time is Marav? Ma Toivu Oyalecha Yaakov. So he said, fine. Rashi says in the words, Ma Toivu Oyalecha Yaakov, Bilam saw Ra She'ein Pischehen Mechuvanos. He saw that their doorways were not aligned. He saw, look at the great modesty of Klal Yisrael, that their doorways were not aligned. So I don't see what's going into someone else's house, right? So let's say my house and the Ostreichers, my windows go this way. We don't know what's. I don't look into Deo. Right? Don't worry, right? We have the Jewish house. They're a little bit, they're a little bit separated. So we don't see what's doing in someone else's house. But Rav Meir Shapiro explained it homiletically. He said, I don't understand. It's not right. The Rebbe Shem has such a loving relationship with Klal Yisrael, because what does He ask of us? He asks of us, Pischu li Pesach kechudoi shel machat. Just open for me, opening the size of the hole of a needle. Actually, people think it's the hole of the needle. It's the point of the needle. Hashem says all you need to do is a little opening. Just open up like the tip of the needle. And I will open for you. I'll open up the world for you. In other words, Rebbe Shem asks us, I don't need big things from you. All I want you to do is take small steps, small little changes. You open up the point of a needle, and I'll open up success and ruchnius beyond your belief. So Bilam said, it's not fear. Your doorways are not aligned. Your openings are not aligned. Hashem only asks of you a small amount, and He's willing to say, if you open up a small amount, I'll open up a tremendous amount. That's not fear. He loves you so much. He doesn't say, I'll respond in kind to you. The Hashem doesn't say that. He just says, you open up a tiny little bit, and I'll open up the world to you. Bilam says, not fear that the Rebbe Hashem loves you so much. And perhaps then that is one of the limudim of the shofar. Shofar on the bottom, let's open up a little tiny hole. And on the top of the shofar, it's Anoni Bamer Chavka, it's open wide. Rebbe Shem is saying, I'm ready to open up wide for you. All you have to do, you have to make a little changes. Make little improvements. Ben Adam la'amakim, Ben Adam la'chaveroi. Small steps. You don't have to accept upon yourself never to do that Avera again. Ultimately, we do. How about try once a week, you won't do it. You don't have to accept upon yourself you're going to do this every single day. Just on Shabbos one time. And if we open up a little bit, the Rebbe Shalom will give us tremendous siyata d'shmaya, and will help purify us in the 960 hours of Tishrei, which is like a mikvah, 960 lug. And the Rebbe Shalom ultimately will help us do a tshuva shalema, and we'll be zoicha to all the great brachos of tshuva, and ultimately ein Yisrael negalim ela b'schus hatshuva. We should be zoicha to the geula shalema, the bias gal tzedek meher v'yameinu amen.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.